Hi, I'm David Broom. I currently work as an instructional designer. I've worked over the past few years for Kimberley Training Institute, delivering literacy and numeracy programs in remote locations across the Kimberley. All of my work with Kimberley Training Institute was with Aboriginal people in remote communities. Most of it was with the Kimberley Ranger programs. I also worked with people in Aboriginal organisations and community groups, and all of the people I was working with were adults. The youngest would have been 17 and the ages ranged up to 65. It's important to have a two-way approach whenever you're working in an Aboriginal community. You should be interested in the environment and the culture and the people that you're working with, and build that in wherever possible into the training that you're doing. I try to keep activities fun wherever possible, and introduce games, quizzes. There's a lot of interest in sport in the communities I've been working with, so whenever you can sort of get people up, moving, doing things with their bodies and enjoying themselves in the process of literacy and numeracy training, it makes a big difference to their engagement. Celebrate. We have an end of year event where we would get all of the ranger groups that have been involved with the program, and they'd face off against each other, playing all sorts of sort of crazy games that were based on the literacy and numeracy skills that they'd developed during the year. That's become an institution, and that really works to get people talking about literacy and numeracy skills. It's seen as a fun and an important and an interesting thing to do, rather than something that's there to feel bad about. I think it's important to talk explicitly about foundation skills in context with the learner group. Once you have their trust and confidence that it's not going to shame them or make them feel bad about their ability, you can actually talk really clearly about exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it relates back to the work that you're doing. I think it's really important that the activities that you use are made to fit in that context. If you're using a lot of stock material out of textbooks, the relevance or the link between what you're teaching and what it's for can often sort of be broken up. So take the time to make activities and design a program that, number one, uses the activities in context wherever possible, or number two, is a purpose-built activity that relates directly to the skill and content area that you're teaching. Using a bidialectical approach is really important in an Aboriginal community context. The people I was working with were all speakers of Aboriginal English, and in some cases were also speakers of an Indigenous language from their area. We would use that language and privilege that language wherever possible, and put those on a par with Australian Standard English. We would talk explicitly about code switching between languages depending on their context. So if we were writing a newsletter that was just for the community, we would use Aboriginal English. If that was for a wider audience, then we would use Standard English, and we'd talk about why we did that. It's important also that training has real life outcomes. For instance, we publish a newsletter with the Ranger group. We'd also publish biodiversity reports and integrate, in almost every case, the writing activities into a real life outcome. I'd use digital media in a remote community context. It's a great way to producing an excellent outcome, something that people can feel confident and excited about. You can make direct links between the report structure of a video report to the report structure of a writing report. I think it's really important to build relationships in any training context, particularly with people with low literacy and numeracy skills who have quite often got an entrenched negative feeling toward education. Relationships can help break that down, and people will trust that you're you're there to help support them developing those skills.